Hey, what if I told you that one of the most natural things you do, defending yourself, is actually the very thing holding you back? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical idea: why you should probably stop explaining yourself, for good. Just think about it for a second. That last time you felt totally misunderstood and you had that burning, deep-down need to jump in and set the record straight. What if that powerful instinct isn't your strength at all? What if it's actually a weakness, a trap that you walk right into every single time? So let's call this what it is: the self-explanation trap. You know the feeling. Someone criticizes you, maybe unfairly, and your immediate reaction is to defend your position. But there's a huge hidden cost to this, a price you're paying that you might not even be aware of. And here it is. This is the whole game right here. The second you start explaining and defending, you're not trying to create a dialogue between two equals anymore. Nope. You're seeking a verdict. You've just handed over all your power and put yourself on trial. I mean, just look at this disconnect. What you think you're doing is clarifying the truth, right? Building a bridge of understanding. But what's actually happening? You're making them the judge and jury. You're literally giving them authority over you, making their approval the prize you have to win. And you know what's wild? This isn't some new age problem. This whole struggle for our own inner authority, it's a timeless puzzle. Philosophers have been talking about this for centuries. In fact, the ancient Stoics had some incredibly powerful things to say about it. The Roman Emperor, Marcus Aurelius, just nails it with this question. Why do we care so much about the blurry, distorted picture of us in someone else's head, more than the high-definition reality of who we are in our own? Their misunderstanding doesn't change who you are, so why do we fight so hard to edit their mental image of us? You see, this is what the Stoics understood so deeply. This isn't about being cold or just not caring. It's about being smart with your energy. Someone's bad opinion of you doesn't change your core reality. The moment you try to control their opinion, you become their prisoner. The only thing you can really control is you, your actions, your integrity, and that's where all your focus should be. Okay, so let's jump from ancient philosophy to modern psychology, because this deep need to explain ourselves, it's not just a bad habit. It's a really powerful psychological driver that for a lot of us started a long time ago. Let's call it the approval trap. It's that gnawing hunger for validation, maybe from childhood, that tells you that you need somebody else's stamp of approval just to feel okay, to feel valid in your own skin. The brilliant psychologist Carl Jung talked about our persona, which is basically the mask we wear for the world. When we're desperately trying to explain ourselves, we're not actually fighting for our true core self. No, we're fighting to get approval for the mask. We're just trying to get the audience to clap for our performance. And here's the key that unlocks the cage. When you refuse to get sucked into explaining yourself to someone who is determined to misunderstand you, you instantly cut the strings. You break their power. You stop them from using you as a screen to project all of their own issues onto. Okay, so we've got the philosophy, we've got the psychology, but what do you do? How do you actually stop yourself in that heated moment? Well, luckily, there's a simple and frankly brilliant tool you can use. In modern psychology, therapists often teach something called the JADE Rule. It's an acronym that stands for justify, argue, defend, and explain. This is the toxic cycle we get trapped in, and your only job is to recognize it and then refuse to play. So just burn this into your brain. JADE. Don't justify your reasons, they're yours. Don't argue with a brick wall. Don't defend your character from attacks that are unfair to begin with. And please, do not get lost in long, winding explanations that just give them more rope to try and tie you up with. So that brings us to the final and honestly the most powerful part of all this. If you stop doing all that jade stuff, what do you do instead? Simple. You reclaim your authority, and you do it with silence. The great mystic Shamsi Tabrizi put it so beautifully. If someone actually wants to understand you, you barely have to speak. But if they're determined not to understand you, 1,000 words are just noise. Your silence says everything that needs to be said. Just picture it. Remember how it feels when you're trapped in that loop of explaining? You feel yourself getting smaller, right? You shrink, you talk faster, you're trying to cram your entire being into a tiny box that's closing in on you. It's just draining. Now, contrast that with silence. The moment you stop talking, you stop shrinking. You plant your feet, you become solid. In that quiet space, you're not getting smaller, you're expanding. You are taking back your space, your power, your authority. You become monumental.
So what does this actually look like in real life? It looks like someone hitting you with a criticism, and instead of reacting, you just offer a calm, simple smile. You might say, "I hear you," or "I understand that's how you see it," and then you just change the subject. That quiet self-possession is more powerful than any argument you could ever dream of making.
And really, that's the bottom line we want to leave you with. The moment, the very instant, you realize you don't owe anyone an explanation for who you are, for your choices, for your truth, well, that's the moment you finally become free.